शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
माय बर्थडे गिफ्ट टू पापा, ये उनके पापा की पहली गाड़ी एक गराज में पड़ी थी दार्जिलिंग में। फिर 3 मैकेनिक, पेंटिंग, पॉलिशिंग। जब इसे फाइनली घर लाया ना, तब लगा लाइफ में ग्रो किया है। बुलाओ।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, और घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग शिप भी बन सकती है।
Or Donald Trump when the two leaders meet in Alaska. And my bet, 100%, is on Vladimir Putin. I believe that Vladimir Putin will walk away with a victory when he and Donald Trump meet in America's biggest and remotest state. And I'm not saying this on the basis of any guess. I believe that if you look at the way things have been in the past, the personality types, the geostrategic equations, the military balance in Ukraine, and the fundamental question that anyone should ask when they do any assessment of such a situation is that who's got more to lose? If you look at the sum total of all this, look back into history and predict a little bit into the future, I would bet on Vladimir Putin winning and Donald Trump losing when they meet in Alaska. In fact, I would like to start by saying that Putin already has an upper hand. The fact that a summit with the American president is being held at all is itself a massive victory for the Kremlin. A presidential summit allows Putin to position himself and to be seen to be at the top table of international democracy. And therefore, what this meeting in Alaska does is that it effectively ends Vladimir Putin's international isolation. If that is not a victory, I don't know what is. My second point is that I believe that Donald Trump is already on the back foot. Don't listen to all the Donald Trump supporters in the American media. What they are not telling you is that ahead of the summit, the White House has already started to downplay expectations of a peace deal, characterizing the high-stakes meeting as, quote-unquote, a listening exercise. Why would they do that? Trump has more to lose because he's the one promising to end this. Putin is not promising to end anything. He's just going in to actually listen. Trump said that his administration's tariffs on India for importing Russian crude had delivered a big blow to Moscow's economy. I don't know who's giving him the facts, but they're all wrong. The fact is he has not dared to impose any direct tariff yet on Russia. And neither has India actually done anything in terms of ever saying we are going to stop trading with the Russians as far as oil is concerned. So this is all made up by Donald Trump. Atmospheric positioning in his own bubble. It's not true. Despite Moscow rejecting a US and Ukraine-backed ceasefire, the fact of the matter is Trump has avoided putting tougher sanctions on Russia, which means somewhere he's still soft and is playing safe with Russia. Critically, it was Trump, not Putin, who actually requested this meeting. Given Putin the chance to renegotiate or negotiate a Ukraine settlement directly with Washington, completely bypassing Zelensky and Ukraine. If you go back into history, let me take you back to 2018. There was a meeting in Helsinki where the two leaders met. And anytime there's been a direct meeting between the two leaders, what Putin says as a condition is there must be nobody else in the room. And Donald Trump caves in. And the fact is, when these two leaders are talking, Donald Trump appears to be unsure, to be almost obsequious. In fact, when he emerged from the 2018 talks, he publicly sided with Vladimir Putin against American intelligence findings on election interference in Russia, simply saying, and I quote, that President Putin says it's not Russia, which has done any intelligence gathering vis-a-vis elections. And he says, I don't see any reason why it would be. In other words, Donald Trump was handing over a victory to Vladimir Putin, which means in a one-on-one meeting, Putin is the tougher guy And Donald Trump, for all the big talk, is the weak guy. Putin will walk away with a win, in my view, because he's already survived a lot. He's survived a deprivation of at least $500 billion in war funds, number one. He has survived a loss of 1,067,100 soldiers in the conflict already. But he's still fighting. And he survived a crippling oil discount imposed due to sanctions and is selling its oil at $31 per barrel, down from $35 per barrel. So the oil price crash has been there, but they are still continuing, which means he's shown his ability to survive catastrophic losses. And he's not talking as much as Donald Trump is. The other reason why I believe Putin will walk away with a win in Alaska is because, as I began by saying, the Alaska summit meeting itself is a win for Putin because it absolutely destroys and breaks the informal Western boycott of Russia and Vladimir Putin, which has been on since 2022. And Donald Trump has indicated that any peace deal will require both sides to swap some of the land they currently hold. What does this mean? This means that Donald Trump has already said, I'm going to let Vladimir Putin and Russia grab a large part of Ukrainian land. He's going to do that, give a victory to Putin, and then walk away to Zelensky and force Zelensky to agree. Sum total, it is Donald Trump who's negotiating on behalf of Russia. That's the reality. Americans may not like hearing this, but this is the reality Americans must learn to accept. They have a weak president. The odds are against Trump already because Putin got a summit meeting with Trump without any concessions on his part, without any pause in the war against Ukraine. That's a huge gain. Putin will debate Ukraine and European security with neither the Ukrainians nor the Europeans on the table. What does that indicate? It means he's absolutely pushed down Europe. Europe is speculating on what's going to happen, but they have no say anymore. This summit proves that all these Western efforts led by America at one time, Joe Biden at one time to isolate Putin have simply failed. This means that even Donald Trump has realized that the world does not dance to the tunes of America or the West, and certainly not to his tunes at all. The United States is also looking very, very weak with China. So Donald Trump actually enters into the meeting a very weak man, a man so weak that he's had to give a second extension on his own tariff threats against China. He's extended it by another 90 days. He's pushed the threat of tariffs till November with China. That's how weak he is. In fact, March 4th, 2023 was the first time when Donald Trump has said, even before I arrive at the Oval Office, he said, I will end this war with Russia. Today it's been 205 days. And Donald Trump has completely failed. He once told Zelensky, you don't have any cards. And let me tell Donald Trump today, and to the people of America, the American president has no cards. He has no cards. All the cards are with the Russians. His going to Alaska is itself an act of surrender. He's going to claim that he has been able to strike a peace deal, but the victory will be that of Vladimir Putin. This is, as of tonight, my prediction. Let us see where it goes.
A momentous meeting is approaching, one with global consequence.
You're looking at territory that's been fought over for 3.5 years with, a lot of Russians have died, a lot of Ukrainians have died. So we're looking at that, but we're actually looking to get some back and some swapping. It's complicated. It's actually nothing easy.
Russian President Vladimir Putin and US President Donald Trump are set to meet in Alaska tomorrow, marking the first summit since the start of the conflict in Ukraine. It will be Putin's first trip to the United States since 2015, when he addressed the UN General Assembly in New York. Nearly a decade later, the return comes with a far higher stake. Putin is seeing this meeting with Trump as a chance to cement Russia's territorial gains and keep Ukraine out of NATO. As the European Union braces for a critical US-Russia summit in Alaska, the Ukrainian President Zelensky arrived in London today. Ukraine and its European allies are concerned a summit without Kiev could allow Putin to get Trump on his side and force Ukraine into concessions.
Звісно, ми обговорили сьогодні ситуацію на полі бою. Я сказав президенту Сполучених Штатів Америки і всім нашим європейським колегам: Путін блефує. Він старається натиснути перед зустрічю на Алясці, на всіх напрямках українського фронту. Росія намагається зобразити, що спроможна окупувати всю Україну. Безумовно, це їх бажання.
With a few words, Trump left allies, adversaries, and the world guessing.
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will the consequences
There will be
be?
consequences.
Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences. Yeah.
As two of the world's most powerful leaders prepare to meet, the question isn't just what they'll discuss, but how quickly common ground can be found.
We're going to have a meeting with Vladimir Putin, and at the end of that meeting, probably in the first 2 minutes, I'll know exactly whether or not a deal can be made.
Whether it can lead to a deal to produce peace in Ukraine after more than 3.5 years of fighting remains to be seen. History will remember this meeting, but will it mark Trump's triumph, Putin's advantage, or something else entirely?
And ladies and gentlemen, I have to start with, we have Sushant Sareen, a senior fellow at the very respected Observer Research Foundation, or ORF, a leading think tank in Delhi. We have Maxim Kuznetsov, chairman of the Russia-Asia Business Council, live from Moscow. Right. We have Matt Klink and Greg Swenson. Greg Swenson is chairman of Republican Overseas UK. And Matt Klink is a well-known Republican strategist, people watching this closely. They're joining from London and Los Angeles, respectively. So we know, to start with, we know what Trump wants. Maxim, Trump wants a quick victory. Trump wants an immediate ceasefire, allowing him to tout this as a win for American diplomacy and to say, I ended the war. But what we don't know clearly is what Putin wants. What does Putin want?
So Putin wants sustainable peace in Ukraine because, war conflict in Ukraine was initiated by NATO aggression against Russia due to many years after collapse of USSR, and right now we would like to have good neighbor, really neutral neighbor for us. But many years Ukraine constructs as anti-Russia. They banned Russian language. They facilitate cooperation with West, including different area, in case of military too. And it is a challenge for Russia, and Russia would like to have sustainable peace. Russia would like to have really neutral Ukraine, and Russia would like to have good economic ties with both with Ukraine and both with United States. And we would like to also drawback of some sanctions. We need to discuss it too.
No, so basically, I think, if I understand correctly, Putin wants Trump to recognize Russia's control over the areas of Ukraine that he has annexed, including Crimea, including part of Donbass.
There are some territories that right now, including in Russia, by new version of constitution, I mean, 5 regions of that previously was included in Ukraine. Now Russia recognizes it like as their own territory. It is first point. Second point, it is about sanction policy. Third point, it is about sustainable peace, because we need to have a really neutral Ukraine, because Ukraine is a menace for Russia in current state.
No, yeah. So now what happens here is that if Putin and Donald Trump are in a room, the biggest headline that Putin wants is that Trump accepts Moscow's gains territorially in the conflict, which means Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, then maybe Zaporizhia, I think that's the way to pronounce it. He will say, you need to acknowledge Russian sovereignty over these regions.
By the fact, it is. I think that West and US can recognize it by the fact, but not in law, because there are some. It is not so simple, but maybe we will have some progress in this field.
Yeah, so that's the point. But if Trump gives this progress, then he's going to end up looking very weak, Matt. All of America is going to say, Greg, that you went to Alaska and you simply caved in before Putin. And for Donald Trump, who's positioned himself as a strong man, it's about his personal positioning also. If he gives in to Putin, he's not letting down Europe, he's not letting down Ukraine, he's letting himself down. Can he afford to do that? Is he in a trap?
So
my question is to Matt. Matt here. Matt plus, yeah, Matt.
Oh, okay. Great. Thank you. Or Arnab, I will say, look, if the meeting goes as you speculate, it would be a complete and utter disaster for President Trump and for the United States. That being said, it's not going to happen, thankfully. So, look, I mean, you've already been reading in the paper this morning where President Zelensky has said that he realizes he's going to have to cede some land. You just mentioned the Crimea. The Crimea has been in Russian possession since 2014, when Barack Obama was president of the United States. So, and you're making it sound like this is the ultimate meeting that's going to wrap everything up in a bow and say, Zelensky, take it or leave it. This is a first meeting. The goal of Donald Trump is to get Zelensky and Putin around a table to actually negotiate peace. And I agree with you. The first step here is a ceasefire. But beyond that, it's not for Donald Trump to dictate terms, nor is it for Vladimir Putin to dictate terms. And this is a case of America and Europe. If you haven't read the papers, morning my time, evening your time, we're in sync. You had both Macron and Merz from France and Germany saying that. You had Zelensky commenting on that today. So this is a first step, and you're making it like a treaty will be chiseled in stone comes Saturday when they meet, and that's just not going to be the case.
No, my point is, Matt, Putin has come there. He has nothing to lose. He's not giving a ceasefire. Militarily, he's already taken a very hard line. He is not interested in a ceasefire unless he gets what he wants. The people of Russia will ask him one day, Sushant, that over 1 million soldiers lost. And we gained a lot of territory, and now you're asking us to pull back. So do you see Putin blinking, Sushant?
No, my own sense is that it's not as though people are going to rise up in revolt against the Russian president. But I don't think it's a practical thing for anybody to expect that Russia is going to give up the gains it has made on the battlefield. I
agree.
Just like that. That's not going to happen. Everybody knows it. The question is, the Russians have given what can we call the maximalist demands. I think our friend from Russia has listed out some of them. And from what we are reading in the news media, and I'm talking about public domain stuff, what is on offer to the Russians for now, so that the ceasefire can be brought in, is that, look, there will be no formal recognition of your sovereignty over the areas that you've occupied, but maybe some kind of an arrangement from, there's a report in the Times which claims that there is some kind of an arrangement can be worked out of the sorts between Israel and West Bank, that the Russians will be in charge, they will be in control, but nobody will recognize that thing, and then the negotiations will go on. And I agree with the gentleman from the US that, look, this is the first meeting. Now, this could go horribly wrong, and that means you go back to fighting against each other and the fighting breaks out. But I think there's also a certain amount of fatigue which has come in. You see that in Europe. Europe is in a bad shape right now. I don't think Donald Trump's supporters are interested in fueling this war endlessly. It is becoming a kind of an endless war. I don't think anybody wants it. And it's proving to be extremely expensive. So I think ideally everybody would want things to break out. But then the question is that this is not going to be decided only between Donald Trump and President Putin. There are other people also who will want to have a say in it, not the least of which are the Ukrainians. How will they take a kind of a deal in which about 20-25% of their country is lobbed off and they are not even given a say in it? Now, I completely understand the old saying that, between the strong and the weak, the strong take what they can and the weak suffer what they must. Now, if that is going to be the condition as far as Ukraine is concerned, we'll wait and see. What are the Europeans going to say? How much are the Europeans willing to put in store of this particular conflict and fuel it? It's very well for the Brits sitting where they are, thousands of miles away, to want to continue to fuel it. People like Boris Johnson and others. But what about the people who are very much on the front lines? Would they want to fuel this conflict? Would they want some kind of a settlement? Maybe some kind of a stable solution? Will Ukraine agree with wanting to stay, the neutrality clause or not joining NATO clause? So there are just too many imponderables in what is likely to happen tomorrow and going forward.
I think what has happened just last five minutes back while we were speaking, we have agency reports which show a very intelligent game that Putin is playing. He realizes that he has to win this with getting as large parts of land and redrawing the map. He's determined to redraw the map. He sees himself as the creator of a greater Russia. A Russia that gets back its lost history and lost civilization and undoes the impact of the end of the Cold War with whatever, Gorbachev and Boris Yeltsin and everyone else did at that point of time. And I think it's very interesting what has happened now. And in the last 5 minutes, there are agency reports suggesting that Putin is offering a larger nuclear arms agreement with the United States of America. This is so intelligent of him. He has given a statement saying, I'm very happy with the American efforts. And what we are going to do is that we are going to talk about a nuclear arms deal with the United States of America at a larger level. And he has said this on the eve of the Alaska meeting. Now, why has he said this? He knows that Trump needs to go away with a bigger victory and he needs to get what he wants. Greg, is this going to placate Trump's supporters, or do they not care? If Putin says, I'm going to offer you an arms deal in exchange for large parts of the land of Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, I'm going to grab large parts of Ukraine and give you a sop of a nuclear arms agreement. How will people read it?
Well, I think there's a lot of moving parts on this, and I think I agree with most of the panel here that it's really not up to President Trump to just give away land in Ukraine. That's going to ultimately to be on Zelensky and the Ukrainian people. But there is an opportunity here to look past the war, to stop dwelling on what happened in 2014 and in 22, that this is not Trump's war. So he's probably thinking about bigger things. And really two major points. One is he's going to make sure that there is not any sort of strong partnership between Russia and China. So this is a much bigger picture, much bigger macro issue in keeping that alliance from happening or at least progressing anymore. And the second is there's major economic opportunities here. The president is not afraid to use business, trade, and economics in order to avoid conflict or even end conflicts. He's done that on 4 or 5 occasions already in his second term. So think about the Arctic oil and gas exploration possibilities. Look at the great potential of even teaming up with the Russians, and that will be a carrot for Putin to think about things beyond this conflict that's happening. And again, to the point of bodies, body bags piling up on the border. Yes, I agree. It's easy for Boris Johnson and other former UK political figures to endorse, not giving an inch, they say, not giving an inch of territory, which is implying that they would want to just continue with the stalemate. There was an opportunity to negotiate out of this war 2 years ago when they realized it was a stalemate. Mike Milley, the chairman of... Yeah.
Greg, if I may, my reading is different. My reading is that at this point of time, it is Putin who is offering a carrot. And that carrot is of a nuclear arms deal. He is making that the bigger carrot. And on that basis, Alexander, he is going to get Trump to agree to Russia's control over the annexed Ukrainian territories, which is going to be the biggest military strategic victory for any Russian leader in over 100 years. If that happens, Putin is going to tom-tom it as a big victory for his domestic audience. Alexander, if that happens, can Trump come back and say, I got a nuclear arms deal with Putin? Won't that make it look like Trump lost?
Well, in this meeting is not about nuclear arm deals or
it
any
is.
kind of...
It has become, because that's what Putin is offering now.
Let Putin offer whatever he wants. Let Putin offer whatever... See, none of us, 6 of us are here, right? None of us, including you, Arnab, none of us wants to see this war continue, okay? President Trump doesn't want this war to continue. American people don't want this war to continue. Neither Ukrainians, neither Europeans, Russians. No, the entire world wants to stop this war. Okay, let's put that away for right now. Putin can offer what kind of carrot? He can offer carrot, apple, whatever he wants, but Trump is not going there to get that right now. Okay, President Trump is going into this meeting with Putin with the goal of securing a ceasefire in Ukraine. It's a meeting to listening each other. You stated in your opening statement that it's a listening exercise. Yes. President Trump is doing this meeting to listen to each other. You know why? Because the administration is currently focused on facilitating a peaceful resolution to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. It includes potential negotiations, ceasefire, and all these months. You said, President Trump said before the inauguration, he said, I'm going to bring an immediate ceasefire and end to the war. Yes, that was his sincere desire. That was the sincere desire for all the people that voted for him, including me, the people who campaigned for him, including me. But that did not happen. Is that President Trump's fault? Did he not try his best? He did everything he could. So he's been frustrated. He expressed...
Yeah, but he's frustrated. But the fact is, he's more frustrated over the way... You see, Vladimir Putin is a very interesting person. He's extremely unrelenting. He has not agreed for a ceasefire. Trump thought that there will be a meeting with a ceasefire.
That's why we are negotiating.
You have a meeting...
That's why we are still negotiating.
No.
We are still negotiating.
Arnab,
it's a
Trump is no
negotiation
shrinking
Matt.
violet.
Yes, Matt.
Yeah, Arnab, Trump is no shrinking violet here. The way you make it sound is Vladimir Putin's going to have a big booming microphone and Donald Trump is going to placidly sit there and just be influenced by the supreme knowledge and hardball tactics of Vladimir Putin. This is going to be a dialogue between two statesmen. I I'm not going to put my money on anybody but Donald Trump. And I know you're a skeptic that, Trump is going to come out of here with the short end of the stick. If Donald Trump gets Vladimir Putin and Vladimir Zelensky to sit at the same table to talk about peace, it doesn't matter if it's good for America. It's good for the world. The average fighting age for soldiers in the Ukraine is 43 years old. They're ultimately going to run out of people. They're losing territory in this war. If Trump can get people to sit, then that's a good thing for the world, not for America. It's not a zero-sum game where Putin wins and Trump loses. This is a bigger picture.
One minute. It's not a zero-sum game. But let me bring this down to brass tacks. Russia has control over 19% of Ukraine. What is at stake here? Including all of Crimea, all of Luhansk, most of Donetsk, most of Zaporizhia, and most of Kherson, as well as parts of Kharkiv, Sumy, Mykolaiv, and some other adjoining areas. This is a lot of land. And Putin knows the importance of territory. He's not going to give it up. Now, if most of the land remains with Russia, and Putin also gets Trump to agree to make Ukraine some neutral territory, to declare permanent neutrality to Ukraine, abandoning its NATO ambitions, limiting its military growth, then it will be his victory, won't it?
Yeah, but those are three big ifs. Look, I don't think that
they are
Russia
big ifs, I can see.
Russia is not going to give up territory that they already hold. Okay, so let's take that as a given. They've held the Crimea for 11 years. They're not giving that up. NATO is not going to expand, in part because the American people don't think that Ukraine has a place in NATO. But if the Europeans want to provide a security guarantee that is not a NATO security guarantee, let's do it. You know what?
That is a win for Putin. That's a big win because it's a big win. That's why
no American person is going to send American boys and girls over to fight in Ukraine. It is not in our strategic interest. Period. If the Europeans want to step up, then they need to step up. And look, America has been funding this war. The Ukrainians, they're lucky they have what they have. Without American money and weapons, they would be completely done. So Donald Trump ran on ending this. It's not his war, as couple of my colleagues have said earlier. It probably wouldn't have happened if Donald Trump were president, because there's a strange occurrence that when Democrats hold office, Putin has invaded twice, not under Donald Trump.
No, I know Trump wants to. Trump says, "I've got no win in this fight."
He wants to end this.
He wants to end this, but it will be seen. The sum total. The point I only disagree with you, Matt, and I want to bring in Tatiana on this, is that when two leaders meet and they go to one place, it may be a military base in Alaska, there are two individuals. As much as you may try to downplay it, the world will ask a question: which of these two personalities walked away with a win? And who did not? So isn't that a question which will come to people's minds? Tatiana from Moscow, what do you think?
It's a challenging question, Arnab. I think that the fact that the two are meeting already kind of sets a picture of the fact that there's going to be a negotiation. There's not going to be a clear win. But also, the positions that they hold are not that far apart. This is why, and I find that you remember when they announced the summit, the reaction that Vladimir Zelensky had to this. Yeah, the rant that he went on, and that was that was a very good portrayal of how things stand. Donald Trump, and I've said it before, he's not interested in Ukraine in terms of there's no literally very little money to be made at this point. You know, they've literally sold everything that they could already to Donald Trump. It's not really a market. This is, and I can't, I'm always reminding people of this because, again, we're here and we've been following this for as long as it's gone on. But this is why the conflict erupted in the first place. You know, the European Association Agreement that would essentially kind of inundate Ukraine with European goods and bankrupt the country while they were trying to get their infrastructure and their industry up to European level and European standards, which is why it was refused and then Maidan happened. Trump has already said that NATO is not happening. He's said it times over. Again, Ukraine cannot, even if, if we take into account that this is a kind of a position to threaten Russia in a way, if he wanted to threaten Russia, he wouldn't have been going to this meeting in the first place, Joe Biden wanted to. So that was, the Democrats' position. They were pushing forward with this conflict. The rest of it is really down to Europe. I
don't think Europe has any say. I don't think, Tatiana, Europe has any say at all.
No, I'm not saying that they do have a say especially in the meeting between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. We are very clear. These are leaders of two huge and powerful nations. But I'm saying that the rest of the issues, the whole hysteria of Russia wanting to allegedly recreate Soviet Union and yada, 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 all of this media nonsense. This is not American nonsense. The America under Donald Trump doesn't push this agenda. And even if it was,
why do the Russians love Donald Trump so much?
I can tell you why.
Is it because he's negotiating on your behalf?
Sorry?
Is it because he's negotiating on your behalf?
No, she said the truth.
I don't believe he's negotiating on Russians' behalf. Donald Trump is thinking about one thing and one thing alone, and it has been all this time. It's about money. And I've said it before on this show as well, this is about money for Donald Trump. And it's a very clear and understandable position. It's just that he's not thinking in terms of Russia containment. That is why Russians love Donald Trump. He's not screaming off of every corner that Russia is this big bad wolf that needs to be contained while making advances. I believe that I've said this before on the show as well. He's a little bit more honest than the Democrats. The Democrats keep pushing the agenda of, oh, look, Russia is expanding, Russia is threatening NATO whilst NATO bases grow like mushrooms around Russia in the meantime. But they're screaming really loudly because, oh, guess what? 80% of American media is pro-democratic. And American media, unfortunately, dominates the world market. And everybody consumes this information. Donald Trump is a businessman. He's easier to talk to.
That's the point. He's a businessman. What are you giving him? No, 1 minute. Everybody, the Russians seem incredibly comfortable with Donald Trump. Why is that? Why is that?
That's so funny that...
No, but you see the amount of advocacy the Russians do for Donald Trump. And Alexander...
I've missed a lot, huh? While I was not...
Arnab, you know why, right? Because she made it very clear, Arnab, she made it very clear because Russians know the war was started under a democratic puppet president, Joe Biden. That's why the Russians like President. She made it very clear. President Trump is very honest, very upfront.
Is this what you want? Certificates from Russia for Donald Trump? Is this what you want?
What is it?
Is this what you want now? Russian certificates for Donald Trump?
No. But we
see at some point, Alexander, you're all hardcore Republicans. I'll ask you one question.
Yes,
Listen, you're all hardcore Republicans. Let me provoke you a little bit. Listen.
Okay, go ahead.
Now here's my point. 5 point. Trump said, I will end the Russia-Ukraine war even before I'm sworn in. 205 days. He's gone into a meeting without a ceasefire. Okay?
Yes.
Second point. He said that I'm going to buy Greenland. You remember that, Matt? Greg, you all remember that?
I do.
He said, I will make Canada my 51st state.
Right.
This term is not over yet.
He said that India will be crushed with oil tariffs. We are fine.
Okay.
Our market's actually booming. He said, I will make China pay. I will impose 135% tariff on them. And then he himself rolled it back twice. Then he said, I'm going to make Gaza beautiful again and launch and start casinos out there. See, I am at one point, even the most hardcore Trump supporters will ask, what did he actually do?
Wow. The list is long. The list of accomplishments. Go ahead, Matt.
Go ahead. I could take this.
Look, there's a lot that he did.
I'm just...
want to answer?
Let Matt take it. Let Matt take it. And then Greg takes it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for being provocative. I do appreciate that, Arnab.
No problem. You're welcome, always.
Go ahead. No, I mean, look, on the domestic front, he passed the largest tax cuts in U.S. history. He's completely shut down our southern border. Believe it or not, the tariffs are yielding revenue to the U.S. Treasury. We have low inflation. We have job growth. So on the economic front, he looks good. On the foreign policy side, he has convinced NATO to increase their military spending to 3.5%, which 10 years ago he was laughed at for suggesting that they meet the 2% threshold. So look, we're solidly backing what Israel is doing in the Middle East, and Israel is going to get rid of Hamas ultimately. And for the Ukrainian war, I mean, look, all of the things, I will give you this. Donald Trump exaggerates. You can't take what he says literally, but look at what he ultimately does in the long run. And I think with the thing with Ukraine, again, you're making it out like tomorrow or Friday or Saturday's meeting. It's the one and only opportunity.
Matt, listen, I'll tell you something.
Yes, sir.
The thing about Donald Trump is that his bark is much more dangerous than his bite. And I'll give you exact reason. See, Putin is going to set very steep terms. And I'd like to bring in Sushant Sareen, who's far more neutral than I have ever been in my life. But he can give a bigger perspective.
Arnab, I'm glad you're so cued into what Vladimir Putin's going to negotiate.
No, I'm interested in reading his mind, and my reading about Donald Trump, and I've followed him closely. My reading about Donald Trump is that he threatens and does not act, whereas in the case of Vladimir Putin, what were the terms that he set for a 30-day ceasefire, Sushant? He said Ukraine must withdraw forces from Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, which are another four regions which Moscow annexed in September 22. Second, Ukraine had to stop its mobilization, freeze Western arms deliveries. And on top of that, Putin demanded that Ukraine demobilize its military, halt any redeployment of forces, and ban the presence of third country forces on its soil. This is only for 30 days. Sushant, for a peace treaty, he's going to ask for much more.
Arnab, the thing is that in these kind of conflicts, you can ask for whatever you want to ask for. The question is, what do you get? And I think that will be critical. Now, I completely understand these are President Putin's maximalist demands. Will he stick to only these demands? These are not his red lines, or are these his red lines? Or will he say, okay, fine, if I get some kind of a in-between kind of a compromise, I will go ahead and go at least for the ceasefire, if not for the final deal. So we'll have to wait and see how that works out. Because look, I would imagine even the Russians would be interested in the fighting stopping, some kind of a ceasefire taking place. It's not exactly that they're sweeping through the opposition. They're facing stiff opposition. So I would imagine that there can be some kind of a middle ground. Can there be some kind of middle ground? Now, I completely understand the Russian demand on Ukraine not becoming part of NATO. And there are models in the past which have worked. Austria, for example, it never joined NATO. There was a lot of Russian pressure on it or the Soviet pressure on it, and they never became part of NATO. Some kind of an arrangement can be worked out where the Ukrainians might have a closer economic integration with the Western Europe, but it'll militarily stay neutral. I don't know how they are going to do that. But I would imagine, Arnab, given our own experience in the subcontinent, that if Putin was to agree on simply the fact that the line of there'll be a new line of control in Ukraine, and you and I at least know the nuance of what a line of control means. That means that this is going to remain a festering problem for the foreseeable future. Why for the foreseeable future? For a very long time to come. The Ukrainians will continue to have claims over the territories that the Russians annex. The Russians will never want to give up control over the territories that they control. And this will give countries like the Brits, who are past masters at playing games in these kind of conflicts, and some of the other players, to come and play their own games in this region. So you are looking at long-term instability in this entire region. So I would imagine that there is some merit in what President Putin is asking for, that, look, let's have a final deal. I will take these territories because these are where Russians live. I'm not getting into whether his claims are right or wrong. I'm saying what he is demanding. And there is nobody who is in a position to make him back off from those claims. Just one more thing, Arnab. I think it is very important that one of our American friends was talking about how Donald Trump's strategy, I don't know if Donald Trump even makes strategies, but let us assume he does, that his strategy is to drive some wedge between Russia and China, and to take Russia away from China, and to have some kind of a balance in that region. The point is, this is exactly what we were saying for the last many years, since 2014, when there was a lot of pressure on us.
What happened? I think we lost him. Yeah, okay, but he's back.
It was just coming to the best part.
No, he's just coming in. Don't worry. Sushant, are you there? Okay, we just lost Sushant's audio. If he comes back, I'm going to bring him back out here. My prediction, and I want to go to Maxim once again. Maxim, what are the terms? Can you guess any of the terms Putin's going to put? For example, will he say that you have to recognize the annexation of Crimea in 2014? And does he expect Trump to be able to say yes and get it done?
So it's too hard to predict something in this top level, but what we can discuss. First of all, Trump said that it would be some swap of territory between Russia and Ukraine. Maybe Ukraine will cease to Russia some territory in Donetsk region, for example, Slaviansk, Kramatorsk, etc. But Russia will stop will stop some actions in south of Ukraine. I mean Zaporozhye and Kherson region. Maybe some territory of Sumy and Kharkiv region Russia will send it to Ukraine. It could be part of deal. Maybe we don't know it clearly, but in Russian media there are some publication about it. It could be so. In my point of view, Alaska is only first step to peace deal. We don't expect that peace deal would be in Alaska. We can expect first step to it. For example, maybe maybe some key parameters of deal. Maybe.
But on that basis, will he announce a ceasefire? Tatiana, if there's no deal,
maybe
if there's no deal,
ceasefire,
Tatiana,
not
will
only
Putin agree to a
because,
ceasefire?
Because Putin and Russian side say that first of all we need to reach sustainable peace parameters. Like now, Ukraine is strongly has.
So he's going to then, in that case, he's going to announce a temporary ceasefire and get Trump on the job. And Trump will then go to Zelensky and push Zelensky and finish it off for Putin. Yeah.
Arnab, Trump, the administration already said that this is a bilateral meeting, okay? That has to lead to a trilateral meeting between Ukraine, Russia, in alliance with the America, okay? So the administration is not trying to finish everything in tomorrow's meeting, which is tomorrow is going to be Friday. Also I have to clarify one thing. Trump did not ask for this meeting. When Steve Witkoff, the special envoy, came back from Russia, he mentioned that Putin expressed the interest to meet with President Trump. And that's when President Trump said, well, it may be a progress. So let me hear him out. So, it's none of us.
No, if Trump did not want a meeting, then why did he send an envoy to Moscow last week? Tatiana. Of course Trump wanted a meeting. Tatiana.
Arnab, it's very simple. Look, it's like Mr. Serene actually said a very important thing, pertaining to that meeting and to what might be discussed and to what might those demands be. He said, look, this will be a pertaining problem because you will have Ukraine still kind of over the territories that are right now in Russian control. Well, look, if we give up the territories, guess where those planes will be? They will be over our territories that have always been ours. We're risking this. This is why there are things that can be traded, obviously, because we are talking about the 4 regions that are officially, in Moscow's point of view, a part of Russia. And I don't believe that these will be sacrificed. And Crimea is not even going to be on the table. That is very, very certain. Crimea is a non-negotiable. It's never going to be negotiable. For Moscow, it's been just simply too much time. There's been too much money invested. It's too strategic. It is never going to be on the table. In terms of the military advances that the Russian army has made, there are some territories that are under Russian control that are not part of those 4 regions. But again, take the Zaporozhye region, for example. There's the nuclear plant. Do you believe, Arnab, that this nuclear plant will ever be given up?
I believe that Trump should not go into the meeting without aids tomorrow. I believe Putin is a very dangerous man to meet for such a meeting. And I think that it is against Trump's advisors should accompany him. Because Putin is an expert in playing mind games. He will flatter Trump and make him feel he's gone away with a win. Trump needs some serious advisors with him when he goes for the meeting. And I'm being told...
Definitely he will have, Arnab. Definitely he will have. Do you think that,
I have been told that Putin has said it has to be one-on-one. Nobody accepts the translators. Nobody except the translators is being allowed.
It's going to be a closed meeting for sure.
Why?
It's definitely going to be a closed meeting. It's going to be very specific people in the meeting. No press is allowed. Yes.
Last time they met, Trump ended up advocating on behalf of Putin against American intelligence findings. In 2018, you remember what happened in Helsinki?
And Arnab, if you look at that, and if you look at that, the Democrats weaponized American intelligence against Donald Trump. All of that information is coming out now. So you can't you're looking at this in a vacuum.
Okay.
Donald Trump from 2018 is much different than Donald Trump in 2020.
That we know. That we know.
Yeah, but then why we are... You said you know
this is very exciting. America's biggest and most remote state is where Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin are going to be meeting for one of the most potentially consequential encounters of their presidencies. Ladies and gentlemen, our reporters there in Anchorage, Alaska from the Republic Media Network, we're tracking it, live coverage and a lot more. We have breaking news coming in from Bihar. We'll be going to that on the other side of a very, very short break. Breaking news on Chirag Paswan.
Time for a quick breather. Arnab will be right back with the debate.
Amity is proud to announce the commencement of its 12th university in India, Amity University, Hyderabad. At the prime location of AeroCity Hyderabad Airport, has a strong focus on high-end research with brilliant students and distinguished faculty who share our mission to change the world together. To apply for this year's session, visit amity.edu/Hyderabad.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने। पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड में मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ। सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो, मिलाओ और खाओ, 8 मिनट में तैयार। क्या टेस्ट है, सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
Sarah, this is your space, play it your way.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
माय बर्थडे गिफ्ट टू पापा, ये उनके पापा की पहली गाड़ी एक गराज में पड़ी थी दार्जिलिंग में। फिर 3 मैकेनिक, पेंटिंग, पॉलिशिंग। जब इसे फाइनली घर लाया ना, तब लगा लाइफ में ग्रो किया है। बुलाओ।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
घर घर तिरंगा, हर घर तिरंगा।
Amity is proud to announce the commencement of its 12th university in India, Amity University, Hyderabad. At the prime location of AeroCity Hyderabad Airport, has a strong focus on high-end research with brilliant students and distinguished faculty who share our mission to change the world together. To apply for this year's session, visit amity.edu/Hyderabad.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध, MDH गरम मसाला।
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड में मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ। सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा, सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला। Sarah, this is your space, play it your way.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी, MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
जब मुंबई से वापस कोल्हापुर शिफ्ट हुआ तो सबने कहा कि ड्रीम सिटी को छोड़ रहा है। ड्रीम सिटी, तो मैंने कहा ड्रीम में तो यही गलियां आती हैं। तो जब ये रियलाइज़ हुआ कि कुछ बड़ा करने के लिए बड़े शहर में रहने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, तब लगा कि लाइफ में ग्रो किया। कशी ताई, ऐसे बॉय मिलते मुंबई में? चांस ही नहीं।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मम्मा क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरी राजा,
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड में मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ। सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
Sarah, this is your space, play it your way.
Звісно, ми обговорили сьогодні ситуацію на полі бою.
Amity is proud to announce the commencement of its 12th university in India, Amity University, Hyderabad. At the prime location of AeroCity, Hyderabad Airport, has a strong focus on high-end research with brilliant students and distinguished faculty who share our mission to change the world together. To apply for this year's session, visit amity.edu/Hyderabad.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध, MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
Звісно, ми обговорили сьогодні ситуацію на полі.
The JDU was trailing on. Commands about 6 to 7% of the vote share in Bihar. Aishwarya, what's the likely impact? Aishwarya, if you can hear me. Okay, let's go through the LJP performance over the years. In the 2012, in the 2010 Bihar Assembly elections, partnering with RJD, LJP won just 3 seats, a decrease from the previous elections. And then in 2011, there were talks of a possible merger with the JDU. Claims surfaced about the LJP Chirag Paswan's party merging with the JDU after 2 of its MLAs joined the JDU, though LJP denied those claims back then. 2014 general elections returned to the NDA, and there are talks now of him going alone. Aishwarya is back. Let me see if he's live with us. Aishwarya.
Well, absolutely, Niranjan. That's the breaking news coming in right now. Chirag Paswan, who's taking the baton ahead of his father, late Ramvilas Paswan, taking the Lok Janshakti Party Paswan ahead, even after a division, right, a vertical division between his uncle and him. He is at it. He wants to contest maximum number of seats in Bihar. We have to take this decision of his with a pinch of salt. This might also be taken as a hand-turning tactic. That means because ticket distribution in Bihar is to begin from the next month. It is being also read as Chirag Paswan tried to arm twist the BJP to get maximum number of seats, because he has made a very safeguarded comment where he says that in Bihar, I'm out of NDA and nationally I am. He's a central minister. He's a part of the Modi cabinet. He just can't be out of the NDA in a state from where his party lands. So that is not going to be acceptable to the BJP. Yeah. So we just spoke to one of the deputy chief ministers of Bihar, and he's saying that such kind of comments are made before ticket distribution. He understands that it is going to be majorly between the BJP and the JDU, but Chirag Paswan wants to move from national to regional politics. He wants to be the deputy chief minister of Bihar this time around if BJP, JDU, LJP comes to power. And hence he has made this comment out in the media that in Bihar he's out of NDA and nationally he's still part of the NDA. He can't row two boats together, and hence it is being seen as an arm-twisting comment of the LJP Paswan chief, Chirag Paswan. He's the son of late Ram Vilas Paswan. He knows the politics of Bihar on the back of his hand, and hence this message of his is directly for the BJP national president and Amit Shah, because those are two leaders who are working on the ticket distribution. Back to you, Niranjan.
Is it official, Aishwarya, or is it speculation?
Well, he has made it official. He has made it official. He has made an announcement out in the media. And now it's going to be very, very interesting, Niranjan, because in the next few minutes he's going to be landing in Patna. Is he going to retract his own words? Because this is not sources.
Thank you, Aishwarya, for that update. Breaking news update coming in. Chirag Paswan may go it alone in Bihar. May fight alone in Bihar, but nationally in Delhi, he will continue to remain part of the NDA. We're going across to the debate with Arnab once again.
Time for a quick breather. Arnab will be right back with the debate. From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate. Arnab Goswami on the debate.
On the show tonight, India tells Pakistan, kindly keep quiet, mind your language, or you're going to get Sindoor too. At 8:30 p.m. tonight, why I believe it's not about this fake allegation of vote chori. There's an attempt at stetocracy and not democracy. We say at Republic, no stetocracy, we want democracy. And at 9 o'clock tonight, who's going to win? Vladimir Putin or Donald Trump? And I'll tell you why I think the chances of Putin walking away with a victory are much greater than Donald Trump's. Today, in a strongly worded statement, the Ministry of External Affairs came out through its spokesperson, the excellently worded Randhir Jaiswal, and we were forced to tell the Pakistanis. And in absolute terms, this is what we said, but the meat of it is we've told the Pakistanis to shut up. That's what we've told the Pakistanis to kindly shut up and stop making threatening noises on a daily basis, which is beyond irritating. Here is what we said.
Reports regarding a continuing pattern of reckless, warmongering and hateful comments from Pakistani leadership against India. It is well known the known modus operandi of the Pakistani leadership to whip up anti-India rhetoric time and again to hide their own failures. Pakistan would be well advised to temper its rhetoric, as any misadventure will have painful consequences, as was demonstrated recently.
Look at the choice of words of the MEA. Pakistan would be well advised to temper its rhetoric, as any misadventure by Pakistan will have painful consequences, as was demonstrated recently. And now the Pakistanis know what we are talking about, because we know how to hit from Rawalkot to Rawalpindi. Ladies and gentlemen, the most important thing is to execute and act, not to threaten. I'll play two sound bites. Yesterday we had a great officer of the greatest army in the world, the Indian Army. He was here in the studios of Republic Media Network. His name is Lieutenant General Bhuvana Krishna, fantastic officer. He's been the head of Strike Corps. He's presently the Quartermaster General of the Indian Army, which means that if the Indian Army moves in a war situation from logistics to everything, he'll have a key role, one of the top 5 or 6 officers of the Indian Army. And he spoke yesterday in a very measured tone. One of the people in the audience at the Nationalist Collective asked the Lieutenant General a question, a serving Lieutenant General. Look, when I play the next 2 sound bites, First, Bilawal Bhutto, screaming an Ozempic-laden hyperbole of Bilawal Bhutto on the one side and the statesmanlike and steely warning of the Lieutenant General on the other when he says, we'll let our weapons do the talking. I'll play these two sound bites and then we'll take it forward.
अगर ये हमें मजबूर करते हैं, पाकिस्तान ने ये जंग नहीं छेड़ा था, हम हमेशा अमन के बारे में बात करते हैं, और अगर आप सिंधु की तरफ इस किस्म की हमला के बारे में सोचेंगे तो फिर पाकिस्तान के हर सूबे के अवाम आपका मुकाबला करने के लिए तैयार है और ये ऐसे जंग है जो आप जरूर हारेंगे.
We are determined to defend our nation to the hilt should anyone dare cast an evil eye on us. Operation Sindoor is a fine example of this commitment. I think it's better to hold one's rhetoric when you are talking about other nations. And I think the statements made were in bad taste. And the only thing we would assure the nation is that the Indian Army would make its weapons talk when the time comes.
The Pakistanis are appearing to be threatened. There are about 14 to 15 random statements from their leaders every day saying that should India strike us again, we'll do this and do that. We've not even lifted a finger yet, which means that somewhere they feel and they know, and we know there will be a Operation Sindoor Part 2. It's only a question of time. And the second is there's an extreme sense of fear because this is also happening at a time when their economy has tanked by 24% and there isn't enough water for their crops because of the fact that we've turned down the taps a little bit as far as water supply from the Indus rivers is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, the tone and tonality in which the Pakistanis and Indians speak is also very different. Here is a comparison of sound bites of Shehbaz Sharif and our Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Please take a look.
मैं ये बताना चाहता हूँ आज दुश्मन को कि अगर तुम हमारा पानी बंद करने की धमकी देते हो तो ये बात ज़हन में रखना कि पाकिस्तान की एक बूंद भी तुम पाकिस्तान से छीन नहीं सकते. उस खुदाए बुजुर्गो बरतर की कसम है कि अगर तुमने ये हरकत की तो दोबारा तुम्हें वो सबक सिखाएंगे कि तुम कानों को हाथ लगाओगे पाकिस्तान का तुम कभी भी.
पाकिस्तान भी भली भांति जान गया है कि अगर भविष्य में नौबत आई तो भारत आगे कुछ भी कर सकता है. और इसलिए मैं फिर से लोकतंत्र के इस मंदिर में दोहराना चाहता हूं, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर जारी है. पाकिस्तान ने दुस्साहस की अगर कल्पना की तो उसे करारा जवाब दिया जाएगा.
And ladies and gentlemen, therefore, as the Indian Army Lieutenant General said, we let our weapons do the talking. As the Prime Minister said, Operation Sindoor is still ongoing. And ongoing in a very steady sense. Today, why has the Ministry of External Affairs come out with such a clear and confident second warning to the Pakistanis? For a couple of reasons. One, Pakistan is getting too carried away with ostensible support from Trump. That's not going to help them in any conflict or war situation. Secondly, we are very steadily engaged with the Chinese. We've increased trade, and therefore there are bridges built which are built on trade, which will extend into other geostrategic areas. Besides which, we have renewed the S-400 maintenance and operations contract. We have shown interest in buying the Sukhoi 57 and not the F-35 from the Americans. The DAC has approved defense procurement worth 67,000 crores recently, only to strengthen our border security. And you may not have noticed it, but our drone and missile capability has become very strong. Drone and missile strikes have killed 3 Ulfa leaders in Myanmar recently. Though the Indian Army has denied the role, it's speculated. We have successfully tested the Prithvi 2. the Agni-1 ballistic missile of Odisha. We all saw the pictures of that. And the upcoming Tejas Mk2 light combat aircraft is set to give a very significant boost to the Indian Army, the Indian Air Force, and the country's military might. But more importantly than everything, we are very, very closely involved in rebuilding and improving the theaterization of war scheme in which all the forces work together to deal a very bloody blow to the enemy. This is not talk, ladies and gentlemen. This is action. This is execution. This is hard work. This is operational efficiency. We are not making bombastic statements, but we are very clear of the direction in which we are taking. And on the eve of Independence Day, let me tell you what that direction is. First of all, let's be very proud this Independence Day, because this Independence Day comes after the success of Operation Sindoor. Ladies and gentlemen, I can safely make a prediction. Operation Sindoor is not just on. We are absolutely sure that if and when the need arises, though the scale of our response may vary, once we have said every terrorist threat, every terrorist action will invite a reaction from us, and we've said so officially, we have explored and opened up all military options ahead of ourselves in terms of attacking Pakistan, and we've shown abundant clarity of our intent during the surgical strikes. And now, during what happened during Operation Sindoor, I have no doubt that not only if required will military action be taken, but the next round of military action, when it's taken, and not if it's taken, will lead to a resolution that Pakistan should shudder to even imagine. Let's debate.
India has hit back at Pakistan's incessant warmongering.
We have seen reports regarding a continuing pattern of reckless warmongering and hateful comments from Pakistani leadership against India. It is well known that modus operandi of the Pakistani leadership to whip up anti-India rhetoric time and again to hide their own failures. Pakistan would be well advised to temper its rhetoric, as any misadventure will have painful consequences, as was demonstrated recently.
This comes after days of non-stop war rhetoric by Pakistani generals and politicians. Only 4 days following Asim Munir's hollow dump truck nuclear threat made from US soil, Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif yesterday weighed in.
मैं ये बताना चाहता हूँ आज दुश्मन को कि अगर तुम हमारा पानी बंद करने की धमकी देते हो तो ये बात ज़हन में रखना कि पाकिस्तान की एक बूंद भी तुम पाकिस्तान से छीन नहीं सकते। उस खुदाए बुजुर्गों बरतर की कसम है कि अगर तुमने ये हरकत की तो दोबारा तुम्हें वो सबक सिखाएंगे कि तुम कानों को हाथ लगाओगे पाकिस्तान का तुम कभी भी।
Time and again, Pakistan's desperation becomes apparent.
अगर वो नहीं मानते सिंतास मुआहिदा को, डैम और कनाल्स निकालने की कोशिश करेंगे, तो फिर पाकिस्तान जंग करेगी और हम 6 के 6 दरिया के पानी अपने अवाम को दिलवाएंगे। हम तेरे आगे दरख्वास्त करते हैं।
Each statement more reckless than the last. From podiums to parliament, Pakistan's leadership has made warmongering its political fuel. But India's position remains crystal clear. Cross the line and consequences will follow.
आतंकवाद के खिलाफ भारत की लड़ाई न रुकी है न थमी है। आतंक का फन अगर फिर उठेगा तो भारत उसे बिल से खींचकर कुचलने का काम करेगा।
जैसे हिंदी में कहते हैं, जो जिनको कुछ करना होता है वो डेली चीखते नहीं हैं. And this is the problem with Pakistan. What we have to do, we'll do. I gave a little bit of a report card earlier. Professor Nalapat, Shazia Almi from the Indian side, and Brigadier Waqar Hassan Khan, Syed Akhundzada Chatan, who's a member of the National Assembly, former member of the PPP, and Adnan Haider, who's a journalist from Islamabad. We told the Pakistanis today to shut up. We told them to shut up. Did they get the message? Professor Nalapat, do you think they got the message?
They got the message during Operation Sindoor itself.
Yeah.
Which is why, frankly, you study the body language, Arnab. You study the body language of the MEA spokesperson and Prime Minister Modi. It's cool, it's calm, it's composed, and frankly, it's not threatening. It's simply being very factual. Look at the body language of the gentlemen from Pakistan who were in the discussion. You can see this is frankly what is called bluster. And the bluster comes from fear. And frankly, Arnab, this kind of nuclear bluster, I mean, see, Munir made it from the United States. The US has long been accustomed to trying to say that Pakistan is a fully, resourced nuclear weapon state. And so, therefore, be careful. You disarm, we'll get the Parks to disarm. The reality is, frankly, the Indian nuclear arsenal is way ahead of the Pakistan arsenal. And I want to ask you, will any rational person talk about wiping out half the world? Any rational person? And why is it being taken so lightly? It's been taken so lightly by the rest of the world. Frankly, India also has taken it, seriously, but certainly not, in a threatening manner, because I think the rest of the world is fully aware of the situation. And I would like to just end this segment, Arnab, by saying, I think it's high time that India start exploring together with another nuclear weapon state, perhaps two nuclear weapon states, the question of taking out the Pakistan nuclear capacity once and for all. I don't believe they've got a nuclear weapon as yet. They got a crude nuclear device. Had they got a weapon, they would not be talking like this. No responsible, genuine nuclear state talks like this. They talk in the language of the Prime Minister of India and the MEA spokesperson. This kind of rhetoric shows it's bluster born out of fear, sheer fear, and frankly, mixed with a lot of bluff, Arnab.
I agree with you, but they keep saying that if you do something, we'll do something. If you do something, we will use nuclear weapons. If you attack us, if we feel threatened. I would like to ask Syed Akhundzada Chatan. Mr. Chatan, did you not feel threatened when we demolished Noor Khan, Rafiqi, Murid, Sukur? काफ़ी नहीं था क्या? आप जो कहते हैं आप हमें थ्रेटन करेंगे तो हम कुछ करेंगे, तो हमने तो सियालकोट, पसरूर, चुनियान, सरगोदा, स्कर्दू, भोलारी, जकोबाबाद, हमने जब ब्रह्मोस यूज़ की, योर लीडर्स आर सेइंग कि हमें समय नहीं मिला, जब हमने when 19 supersonic cruise missiles entered your territory, right, along with a similar number of scalp missiles, we've done what we did. You could not do anything. आपका कोई nuclear bluff नहीं है आपके पास. Your nuclear bluff has been called. We have much more than you in terms of our nuclear arsenal. We don't keep talking about it on a daily basis. हमने तो कर दिया, आपको nuclear use करना था, आपने तब तो use नहीं किया. Because you know that you will be wiped off the face of the earth if you try with India. So why do you want to look bad by repeating these empty threats all over again? Sir, can you unmute yourself? Okay, I'll tell you to unmute yourself. I want Brigadier Waqar Hassan Khan to speak to that. Brigadier Waqar Hassan Khan, we have already called your nuclear bluff. We've hit you so badly, then you keep saying that you will use nuclear weapons, you will destroy the world, you'll do this and do that. But you did nothing during Operation Sindoor when we hit you. You only went to complain to the Americans, which means you have no capability. You have no capability, or you're aware of how hard we will hit you back.
Allow me to talk. That's the problem last program also. I always say it's
1 billion 40 crore people have, a little bit of hard to listen to argument, because then, there's no fun. Point is that there is something known as the nuclear threshold, which is calculated in terms of conventional, economic, or demographic losses. And these are with every nation. Like even Russians have not used nuclear weapons despite their heartland was attacked. So there's a sense in basically when you're talking of nuclear weapons. And talking of rhetoric from Pakistan, a state whose media had captured Lahore and Karachi, for God's sake. Let's not get into that. Main thing is that Pakistan feels that we were able to do so much of damage, which is recognized by the international community and international security community.
In the international community, yeah? Recognized by whom? Name one expert. You can't keep talking like that. You have to understand that you have to understand here. Just one minute. Do you think, okay, let me ask you this. Brigadier, I ask you this. Brigadier, listen to me.
It can't be that India desires something and,
Brigadier, we have called your nuclear bluff. 1 minute.
No, it's not calling off a nuclear bluff.
2 minute, मेरी बात सुनिए.
Any missile force would penetrate. Even the Russians couldn't stop. It's, I think, one of the best, air defense systems and missile power. Missiles do penetrate defenses. And we hit your 36 military bases. So what could you do? Now, the other thing I just want to make an announcement.
The thing is that you have not been able to provide.
Now we have a Pakistan
Brigadier, you have not been able to provide any proof. I'm requesting you to tone down. Don't tell me later I did not warn you. I'm requesting you to tone down. I'm requesting you, dekhiye, 1 minute, listen to me.
Toned down my voice.
Listen to me now, listen to me.
I know the audience.
First of all, एक मिनट. Thank you. एक मिनट, Brigadier साहब, एक मिनट. देखिए, एक मिनट. See, we can do more, I'm telling you. And Professor Nalapatna, we can do much more.
Be my guest.
1 minute.
Yes.
Just we can do much more. We have enough and more ability. Remember one thing, Shazia, that we have not even used the Indian Navy 1% of what it can do. We have destroyed Kirana Hills.
Correct.
We made them go crying to the Americans when we have not even done 1% of what we can do. Now all we are telling them is, बदतमीजी आप लोग बंद कीजिए. डेली आपके नेता आके ये बोलते हैं, वो करें, देश दुनिया बर्बाद कर देंगे, धुला देंगे, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे, रिलायंस पे अटैक, ये करें. क्या है ड्रामा? See, don't talk too much and
Arnab,
do too
they're a
little.
failed
Shazia.
rogue nation.
Shazia.
Arnab, Pakistan is a failed nation. It's a rogue. Become a mere vassal
Shazia
state.
के बाद, Shazia Elmi.
It doesn't have any credibility of its own. There is no integrity whatsoever. Like pipsqueaks, they run from pillar to pillar, begging for arms and arms. ALMS and ARMS. And that's all they can rely on. Yes, there are two things they can rely on. They can rely on the terrorists, the homegrown terrorism industry, the only cottage industry that they have. And yes, they do talk about the nuclear capability, which the bluff of which we have called out loud and clear. And this nuclear saber rattling, which is their stock in trade, as very beautifully worded by the Ministry of External Affairs, is something that is not going to yield them any results. But there's one more thing they're aware of, and they know, and which is why you see the fear written all across their faces, which is the jugular that India has, which is the Indus Water Treaty being held in abeyance, and what it means for Pakistan economy, agriculture, citizens. And that is the biggest fear. Nuclear bluff called out, terror havens neutralized and will continue to be done so. But now this is what's bothering them. The fear is written and is writ large on their faces, and you can see it. So they're threatening and threatening more, but everybody knows they're a pathetic vassal state with nothing much to talk about. Their army chiefs come and go. Rawalpindi is where all the power is, which is obviously ISI. Their chiefs go, faster than their cricket captains do. Economically, you just mentioned where their economy is dropped to 24% further. They keep begging for arms and arms, and that is who they are. So clearly, we're not equals. We feel sad for them. And yes, we stand our ground. We will not be bullied. They can go to people here and there. They can go to various chaudhries here and there, help us. And the chaudhries have every right to speak to us. But what we do is what we are doing. Operation Sindoor has only been paused. MEA spokesperson said it very clearly. It has only been paused, and two, where Indus Water Treaty is concerned, and the court and jurisdiction is concerned, we do not care for whose jurisdiction it is or what the court has to say, because those are our waters and our control, and it is in abeyance until Pakistan learns to behave itself. It's very clear. So Brigadier Saab and whoever's from the Pakistani side, you'll be well advised if you back off and stop behaving like a petulant, miscreant, juvenile delinquent.
Adnan, the more important thing is that today you realize that at one point of time, at one point of time, we were one country. At one point of time, we were one country. Look at what your Islamic fundamentalism took you. Fundamentalism se aapko mila kya? Look at your country's economic situation today. Why do you think, look at your economic situation today.
Can I report?
No, Adnan, all I'll say is only one line. You keep saying, if you attack us, we will use nuclear bombs. If you stop the river water, we will destroy India. Now, I want to tell you, we have stopped the Indus water by 20%.
Yes.
We have already stopped it by 20%.
I challenge you. Arnab ji, I challenge you. मैं सहाफत छोड़ दूंगा अगर आप साबित कर दें कि मेरे आर्मी चीफ ने ये कहा हो कि मैं न्यूक्लियर मारूंगा, आप साबित कर दें कि शहबाज शरीफ ने कहा हो मैं सहाफत छोड़ दूंगा. I challenge you, Arnab Goswami. I challenge you, Arnab Goswami. आप इंडियन अवाम को मिसलीड कर रहे हो.
अच्छा एक मिनट, अदनान जी, आपके आसिफ मुनीर रिसेंटली गए अमेरिका में कोई टैंपा करके जगह है, वहां पे इन्होंने एक पार्टी कराई उनके कॉन्सुल जनरल के लिए, जिसमें उन्होंने कहा कि हम एक गार्बेज ट्रक है, कचरे के ट्रक है, और भारत एक शाइनिंग मर्सिडीज कार है. ये सब जगह कोट, ऑल ओवर इंटरनेशनल मीडिया इट इज देयर.
Don't do this.
What should I do? It's all over. It's been quoted.
मैं बताता हूँ. मैं स्टोरी बताता हूँ. मुझे 1 मिनट दे.
जी अच्छा बोलिए. नहीं, he's getting excited. He's getting worked up. हाँ बोलिए अदनान जी, क्या प्रॉब्लम है?
60 सेकंड. देखो एक शख्स है जिसका नाम आसिम मुनीर. वो आसिम मुनीर आज हिंदुस्तान के ख्वाबों में आता है, नरेंद्र मोदी के ख्वाबों में आता है और उसको खौफ आता है. देखिए आप सारे डरे हुए हैं. वो ऐसा आर्मी चीफ पाकिस्तान को मिला, अगर उसके बारे में पढ़ो. मैं बताता हूँ, इंडियन इंटेलिजेंस नहीं जान सकी. आज मैं आपके शो में बताता हूँ आसिम मुनीर कौन है. आसिम मुनीर
like Balochistan and trying to make small deals just to cover himself.
अच्छा शाजिया, let him talk. Shazia, he's getting angry. Shazia, let him talk. बोलिए अदनान जी, प्रॉब्लम क्या है? आप बताइए.
सुनो आज नहीं, अर्नाब दिस इज अनफेयर. अर्नाब दिस इज अनफेयर. मुझे 60 सेकंड तो दो भाई. मैं बताता हूँ आसिम मुनीर वो वाहिद कमांडर है जिसने 20 साल ऑपरेशनल एरिया में गुजारे. वो कमांडर है जो इंटेलिजेंस चीफ रहा. अरे उसने हिंदुस्तान की अफवाज के, हिंदुस्तान की हुकूमतों के मतलब रात की नींदें उजाड़ के रखती हैं. आप सबको ऑब्सेस क्यों उससे? उसके अलावा भी तो बात करो यार. आपके हर प्रोग्राम में, आपके हर न्यूज़ से
अदनान हैदर, ये आपकी जो आईएसआई की प्रोपेगेंडा को रट के, मेरी बात सुनिए, एक मिनट शाजिया, ये आईएसआई के प्रोपेगेंडा को रट के इधर मेरे प्रोग्राम में आके आसिफ मुनीर की बायोडेटा दिखाने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है आपको. मेरी बात सुनिए.
I am propaganda. I am proud of my agency. Have you proud of your raw? Arnab, tell me. Have you proud of your raw?
Of course, I am very proud of my raw because one day I know that my raw is going to get your Dawood Ibrahim.
You have zero capacity.
Now let me tell you one thing. Now listen. I ask you, Adnan, you're not being serious. You're not being serious. I am only on one singular point. I am a focused Indian journalist leading the largest news network of South Asia and Southeast Asia put together. Now listen to me. मेरी पहली ये बात सुनिए. अब मेरी बात सुनिए.
नहीं अरनाब, आप मुझे तो बोलने नहीं दे रहे.
Adnan, I'll tell you one thing. Adnan, ये इसको कहते हैं इंग्लिश में इसको कहते हैं actionable intelligence. We had a lot of actionable intelligence about your country and about all the bases which we have hit, okay? And we have done this on our own. We don't need any external countries. We don't need help through the American intelligence system or the Chinese intelligence system. We have done this on our own. And never forget, never forget. Arey, 1 minute, please. Now, my army has broken your country into two already. You want us to break you into another two parts? We can do it. Now, Brigadier, please come back to the debate.
They're a broken lot, Arnab, to start with. They are a broken, splintered lot.
No. The question we asked on the eve of our Independence Day, and I'll go to my next debate in a second. I ask you, Brigadier Hassan Khan, please tell me, we hit Kirana Hills, which is your most significant and sensitive nuclear-linked facility. Why did you not do anything in terms of a similar response to us? Why did you fail? Why are you such failures? You went to the Americans. You had no response to our attack on Kirana Hills.
The point is that I told you that...
Why did you, if you had the ability that you now threaten us with...
I agree that...
Why did you not do anything in response? Yes, Brigadier and Professor Nalap.
Acknowledged by Colonel Sofia Qureshi and your, people who briefed it. And now you have a bout and, basically that, you shot. It was very, very funny. Entire world knows that,
I would like to tell you that I'm sure you've heard the name of Damien Simon. He's one of the most regarded geointelligence experts in the world. He's the one who shared the images on X talking about the impact of the hit on Kirana Hills. A geointelligence expert called Damien Simon. Can you name one geointelligence expert recognized at a global level, or one global body, or one global university, whether Harvard or Oxford, or whether Chatham House or RUSI, which has published a single paper saying that Pakistan has had a successful hit?
Listen, National Interest is the most prestigious magazine which came up with 2 articles, and they do it on global security. That Bloomberg, then you had, Independent. So please.
Bloomberg is not a defense magazine. Bloomberg covers the markets. Now here you are again going crazy. You must know this much.
False fake news, please.
Next you will be telling me.
Media which had captured Lahore port should not lecture us, please.
Now I'm asking you that why did you, when we hit your nuclear assets, don't give these empty threats.
No, it's not empty.
Otherwise we'll be forced to hit you harder next time.
Pakistan Army Rocket Forces Command has been raised, and I tell you, we'll start from your eastern seaboard, from Andaman Island. We'll spare Indian Punjab and hit you everywhere.
By the way, Andaman Island is not near Punjab.
Anything.
Please get your geography right, Professor Nalapat.
Look, I want to point out, Arnab, that India's space capabilities are well known. In fact, NASA had long been wanting to cooperate with India, and finally they are being allowed to do so by at least 2 US administrations. India's space capability, the point about space capability, it's, we are going to have a moon landing mission. That's absolutely no joke. It's a very sensitive, high-tech mission, and it's been developed within the country. Our entire nuclear and space program was developed in the teeth of sanctions from the rest of the world, China, US, you name it. And yet our scientists developed it. Our young people have talent, innovation. Under this government, innovation and talent is being rewarded, is not being choked as it was in the past by getting corrupt officials to harass them. That situation has changed, especially in Modi 3.0. And we have demonstrated our space capability. Please, my friends in Pakistan, and I can assure you, as someone who has been a regular contributor to the Pakistan Observer for more than a decade, I have no quarrel with the people of Pakistan. Allow me to say that please don't talk like this, because the more you talk like this, the less seriously the world will take you.
The world will take you, and the more...
the world will take you, and neither will India take you. But India has given a very blunt warning that it will have very painful consequences, and painful with reference to what happened during Operation Sindoor. So please take the MEA spokesperson and the Prime Minister's words seriously.
Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, in 7 days, we crippled them and made them run to the Americans.
Program.
In 5 days, we made them run to the Americans. In 1971, in 13 days, we made them capitulate. They must know the size and strength of the country they are dealing with. Ladies and gentlemen, to debate number 2, at this point of time on the eve of our Independence Day, I would like to tell Rahul Gandhi and the others supporting him that their attempt at streetocracy is going to fail. They are not talking about vote chori. What do they want? They want the entire democratic system in this country to crumble. They want no elections. They want complete anarchy. And we at Republic say, no streetocracy. No streetocracy.
हमारे पास ओपन एंड शट प्रूफ है कि इलेक्शन कमीशन वोट चोरी में इन्वॉल्व है।
इलेक्शन कमीशन ने राहुल गांधी जी को बुलाया, वोटर रोल इशू पे नहीं गए, उनको कहा एविडेंस दे दो, बार बार कहा, नहीं दिया राहुल गांधी जी ने और कांग्रेस पार्टी ने।
जिन्होंने आज तक मैंडेट चोरी करने का काम किया, वो आज इस तरह के अनर्गल प्राप्त करके अपने आप को लोकतंत्र का मसीहा साबित करने का एक प्रयास कर रहे हैं।
The political battle over the electoral rolls is now reaching a tipping point.
राहुल गांधी जी को सुधारने के लिए मेरा पास कोई दवाई नहीं है, लेकिन अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट पर टिप्पणी के बाद तो उसको थोड़ा होश ठिकाना आना चाहिए। अगर नहीं भी है तो जो समझदार लोग हैं, कांग्रेस में भी कुछ लोग समझदार नेता हैं, ऐसे नहीं कि सारे कांग्रेस में राहुल गांधी जैसे हैं, तो कांग्रेस पार्टी में भी अच्छे लोग हैं। वो लोग मिल करके राहुल गांधी को समझाना चाहिए कि देश के खिलाफ काम करना बंद करना चाहिए।
उनको बोलिए हिम्मत है तो जवाब दे राहुल गांधी के सवालों का। न हिम्मत है इनमें, न ऊपर से अनुमति मिलेगी। चले आते हैं बोलने।
Today, the Supreme Court, while hearing the case on Bihar's Special Intensive Revision, directed the Election Commission to publish the names of the 65 lakh names being deleted from the voter list, even asking the Election Commission of India to consider challenges based on Aadhaar cards. But the Congress is defiant on its vote chori allegations.
ये नारा सुपर हिट हो गया हमारा। ये अब तो पूरा देश की गली गली में शोर लग रहा है। अभी नारा दूसरा भी लगेगा ना, गली गली में शोर है, चुनाव आयोग चोर है, अभी तो ये नारा भी लगना है।
But it is no longer about the votes. One thing is clear. The opposition has a resounding consensus on rejecting the mandate of the nation based on hollow conjecture.
SIR पे रोक तुरंत लगानी ही चाहिए और इसमें अगर और आप सोचिए SIR का प्रोसेस कितना मज़ेदार है। चुनाव आयोग कह रहा है कि हम गहन पुनरीक्षण कर रहे हैं, स्पेशल इंटेंसिव रिवीजन, और उसमें खाली डिलीशन कर रहे हैं, आप एडिशन नहीं कर रहे हैं।
केवल नकली गांधी और नकली संविधान की कॉपी लेकर चलने से नहीं चलता। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कह दिया कि आधार नागरिकता का प्रमाण नहीं है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कह दिया कि राशन कार्ड पर प्रमाण नहीं बनता है किसी नागरिक होने का।
इनका ये मानना है कि जो लोग नागरिक नहीं हैं, आधार कार्ड बनवा लिए हैं, वोटर आईडी बनवा लिए हैं, वो वोट देने के हकदार होंगे। ये चाहते हैं कि इस देश का लोकतंत्र जो है फर्जीवाड़ा पर चले। कोई बिहार में इस जो इंटेंसिव रिवीजन है, इसको किसी ने इसकी आलोचना नहीं की। आम लोग इससे खुश हैं। आम लोगों को लगता है कि फर्जीवाड़ा अब चुनाव में नहीं होगा।
The big question is, if opposition is really concerned about vote chori, then why is it opposing the SIR? Is it just a ploy to incite streetocracy? Why can't India accept the verdict of the people?
Streetocracy is a state of affairs where a small, loud and anarchic group takes to the streets to subvert the outcome of democratic elections. So our choices today, Siddharth and Ratnakar Tripathi, are between streetocracy, which you seem to support, and democracy, which I support. So, Siddharth Sharma, I will open up the lines and I'll also take a poll. You support streetocracy or democracy? Because if you don't accept the results of an election, then you are anti-democracy and pro-streetocracy.
Yeah, Arnab, to begin with, commiserations to those affected in Kishtwar today. Kashmir in Kishtwar faced a very big tragedy today, and entire India prays for your safety in Kashmir. So let me begin with that. And Arnab, I agree with you completely, 100%, that today is not a day to gloat, but reflect on the checks and balances of a democracy like India. That's what the Supreme Court's verdict today says. No cricket fan wants a match without an umpire. All fans want is an umpire who is neither British nor an Indian, while this match is being played at Lords. It's as simple as that. Exactly what Aam Aadmi Party requested Election Commission about mass vote deletions during February Delhi elections. In fact, today's verdict has done a massive favor to BJP by taking the wind out of the slogan on every Indian's lips. Gali gali mein shor hai, Bhajpa vote shor. At least that has been taken out.
So you're not willing to accept the verdict of the elections at the national level?
Well, by cracking a resounding slap across Modi Sarkar riding piggyback on EC.
So no, one minute. All these are your words. These are not the words of any court. I'm asking you and Ratnakar Tripathi once again with absolute clarity. You're saying that you are not willing to accept the results of the 2024 general elections. Are you willing to accept that verdict or not accept that verdict? Because you've got to be clear on this.
The verdict, every verdict under BJP government is now under question because the Supreme Court
the Supreme Court has at no point of time cast aspersions on the verdict.
No, it's not under question. Do not lie. Do not undermine democracy.
The Supreme Court would never say something like that and has not said anything like that. To misquote the Supreme Court in the most watched English news program in the country would be terrible. Please don't do it.
Arnab, today the Supreme Court held that the unfair process of Bihar SIR is a conspiracy to exclude citizens. Hence, the court itself laid down correct procedure to ensure
it upheld that and made
Why did the court say that these are the things that you need to know? When Indian population is increasing, Indian economy is booming, how can number of voters get reduced? Remember, Election Commission has to upload. It's 65 lakh.
In a most incomprehensible and incoherent manner, I will take on. Are you done? Are you done with the screaming and shouting? So clearly,
damned if they do, damned if they don't. It's a Hobson's choice for them now. It's a Hobson's choice for the BJP ecosystem now because the entire process of SIR that the Election Commission was doing, rather it had become a selection commission.
Screaming and shouting your lungs out will not help you, sir.
Commission of India.
It will not help you. Screaming like that, the lung power.
It has enumerated a certain process by
honesty
itself.
matters.
When it says
and love for your country and democracy matters. So it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Keep trying. Scream louder. Scream louder. It's still not helping. It is not working. It is not working. You have shown it, and Rahul Gandhi is following suit that you are a political embodiment of anti-nihilism, only theatrics. You want to undermine.
I would just like to say this, that as far as I know, Siddharth, I knew you to be a decent man. But today, by lying about the Supreme Court and saying that the Supreme Court has given a final order as blah, blah, blah in the case, and making loud proclamations on what the Supreme Court have said, you have crossed the line of political decency. Because the Supreme Court, in its interim order, allow me to complete, I'm a very precise journalist. The Supreme Court, as far as I know, Deepak Reddy, in its interim order, not a final order, has said that the Election Commission of India is entirely entitled, as per existing rules, to carry out a special intensive revision. All that the Supreme Court has said is that you can give a booth-wise list of the 65 lakh people who are not included, which I'm sure the Election Commission is going to do. And further, the Supreme Court has said you need to ensure wide publicity for the special intensive revision. You are unwilling to accept what the Supreme Court has said in its interim order. And this is exactly the problem I have, Deepak, that you lie about everything. About the Election Commission, about the Supreme Court.
I'm accepting my folly. Arnab, I'm accepting.
You are a believer in streetocracy. India must fight streetocracy. I am for democracy, not streetocracy.
Arnab, I am accepting my folly today that Arnab is fishing and I am not biting. Exactly like Pradhanji isn't taking Trump's name in spite of him taking credit for operations, for making ceasefire 35 times. The day Pradhanji takes Trump's bait, I will also take Arnab's bait. Don't worry about that.
आप पहले तो एक बात बताता हूँ सिद्धार्थ जी, मैंने डिसेंसी की बात कही है ना,
आपने बेट डाला।
हाँ, मतलब हर चीज की मर्यादा होती है, आप मर्यादा का उल्लंघन ना करें। और प्रधान और प्रधानमंत्री के किसी प्रधान जी नहीं है, प्रधानमंत्री जी कहिए। प्रधान और प्रधानमंत्री में काफी फर्क है। अरे भाई, प्रधानमंत्री है, चुने गए हैं। आपने तो अभी तक प्रधान के चुनाव के लिए आपने नॉमिनेशन फाइल नहीं की है।
अरे अर्नब भाई, बात ऐसी है ना, भारत में शंकराचार्य बहुत अच्छा
किसी पंचायत के इलेक्शन को जीत के आइए ना, फिर प्रधान कह रहे हैं। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी कहिए जी। दीपक रेड्डी,
जिस दिन प्रधान जी,
let me come in here, Arnab, let me come in here.
Democracy or streetocracy, Deepak?
Yep, democracy is pretty clear. Debate, dialogue and discussion. But the Congress's version of democracy is nothing but disruption. You know, what I feel is this is something what they're doing intentionally and trying to undermine our processes and our institutions and trying to create a doubt in the people's mind about the functioning of our very democracy. So this is something what they're doing absolutely intentionally. I would like to give 4 facts today on 4 different issues where I think the case will come to rest after these facts are out. Today we had election results in Andhra Pradesh. ZPTC, 2 by-elections results came out today, and it was not through EVMs, it was through ballot. And you know what? Congress party got 146 votes in Vontimita, and in Pulivendala, they got only 101 votes. So that's what I keep saying. Congress is dead in Andhra Pradesh and is in a ventilator in rest of India.
Now so will say, the Congress will say that the election has been stolen. They have a clear answer to every loss. They deserve to win, but
that is why I've been saying, I told Arnab that this is not through EVMs and this was through paper ballot. This is exactly what they have been asking, and this is the result what we got today. And another thing, Anantapur Lok Sabha constituency, where I was elected as an MLC earlier, in the previous